If you've been feeling far from God, or perhaps you feel like God has been far from you, or perhaps you feel like you and God has been drifting apart, I want to share with you an encouraging yet practical tip to feel closer and really be closer to God in 2025. Let's talk about it. Peace in. It's Travis and your Christian encourager, and I'll just go right and say it. We need to be grateful, y'all. That's really it. It's gratitude. That is how to be and feel closer to God. I want to put it like this. I learned from this book, or rather it's an audio book. You can find it on Audible. It's called Outsmart Yourself, Brain-Based Strategies for a Better You, or something to that effect. And one of the things I learned about that is somewhere they did a study. It was a big study, but it was a study as to the happiest people. And what they discovered is that the people who were the most grateful were the people who were the most happy, meaning it was people who decided to be grateful, to live a life of gratitude that tended to be happy, and the ones who were the most bitter were the ones who happened to be not as grateful. And they actually ran a study where they studied the brain functions and whatnot. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I don't know all of the details, but what they found was that they, separated multiple groups, and the group that were the most bitter or the most angry or seemingly not as happy, they had them call their loved ones or call someone that did something for them, and they had them thank them. Say, hey, just call someone, anyone that did something nice for you or kind to you, and thank them. And then they measured their brain activity afterwards. So they measured their brain activity before they did that and their brain activity afterwards. And they discovered that everyone who actually committed to the action and who actually called someone and expressed gratitude, their brain activity showed that they were happier. So again, I'm not trying to go into all of the details because I don't know the details of the study, but you should read that and you can check it out. And you can find plenty of different studies that shows that when we are more grateful, we tend to be more happy. Well, what does this have to do with how close you feel to the Lord? Here's what I'm saying. Everything that we have is a gift. Every person, every relationship that we have is a gift from above, as it says in James. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage us that in 2025 to be more grateful. I guarantee, and I've done this. I've practiced this myself, where I found that when I express more gratitude to God, that I tended to be closer to God. I tended to feel better about my life and about what's going on in my life and what's going on with God's direction for my life. And so one of the practical ways, and here's where the practicality comes that I talked with my wife about, think about something that you are actually excited about, something that you are appreciative of, something that you're grateful for, anything. And when you find that thing, I want you to think about, how did you get that if it wasn't God? Believe in the truth, which is whatever that thing is that you're excited about, God gave it to you. Then you think about wait, God isn't far from me, because this thing that is benefiting my life, I'm excited about, and that's helping me, God gave it to me, which means that he cared enough about me to give it to me. So let me give you an example. Whatever it is that's going on in my life, I've always been able to, when I stop to do this, think about how grateful I am for my family, how grateful I am for my wife, how grateful I am for my children. If you haven't seen my story, but part of my story is that at some point in my life, I was not wanting to get married or have kids at all. And it wasn't ever because I didn't want a family. It was because I didn't believe I was worth having a family. So the idea for me of being married with children, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. And when I realized, oh, wait, I'm not just thankful and grateful for having a wife and having children, but I'm also grateful that God gave them to me. And when I think about that, it's like, oh, God cared enough about me to know that it was valuable for me, and it was important for me to have a family, because so much of my life in the earlier days, I didn't believe I was worth having a family. So he, in other words, redeemed that. And when I think about that, it's like, oh no, God really does care about me to that extent that he cares about my emotions. He doesn't just care about my spiritual well-being. He cares about my emotional well-being, my mental well-being, my physical well-being, and even my relational well-being. And you can do the same thing even for physical things. You think about a new car. If you look at that as a gift, if you look at that as something to be grateful for, and you think about, oh, God blessed me with this car, then you would think about, well, God is definitely not far from me because he blessed me with this car. He blessed me with this thing that's crucial for me to go about my daily life. Think about anything, whether it is physical, whether it's relational, whether it's emotional, whether it's a job, whatever, a career thing, whatever it is, think about anything that is currently benefiting you in life. And I want you to think about the reality, the truth that God blessed you with that thing. You can always think about something that you're grateful for. I believe 100% when Paul says in Philippians 4:4 to rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. I believe I believe that word rejoice, another way that you can unpack that is to say have joy in the Lord always. The reason why we can have joy in the Lord always is because the Lord is always with us. And in him, we lack nothing. We lack nothing. And so we can always rejoice in the Lord. And it also indicates that we are always in the Lord, which means we're always with the Lord. So he is not far from you. Remind yourself of the ways that God is not just have blessed you, but that he is currently blessing you in right now. And I'm not saying that life is all about blessings and I'm not talking about prosperity gospel type stuff. But what I am saying is that very practically, there are things that are benefiting your life that you can identify. But don't just think about those things. Think about who gave you those things. And you will be reminded that God is indeed with you, blessing you, benefiting your life, loving you, and you're not far from him. And my encouragement to you is when you recognize that, thank the Lord. Say thank you to God and acknowledge him as if he is still with you, because he is. And just practice this throughout the year of 2025. Practice this for this month, in the month of January. Practice it throughout the month and leave a comment later in the month. I'll come back to this video. Let me know how that goes. Let me know how does it go for you when you're practicing gratitude to the Lord. All right. God bless you. I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that you're doing well. Go encourage somebody. Peace out.